What's up everyone, Adam here from Cape Crawlers, and this is the SCX24 Bronco build part 8. Welcome back to the channel everybody, and welcome back to the Bronco build. So the SCX24 Bronco build has been an amazing series, and if you've watched episode 7, which was the previous episode in this playlist, man was that a great episode. That was one of the most impactful, biggest performance gains I've ever done in one kind of set of modifications. The Bronco completely transformed, went from being a cool built rig, pretty capable, to being an absolute savage and one of the most capable performers that we have in our fleet here. So that is going to be a tough bar to beat. We set it pretty high in the last episode. But in this episode, we've got some great new parts. We've got some awesome new upgrades from Little Guy Racing Parts. We've got some flubber stuffers, slime balls to put in here. And we've got some little adjustments, little tweaks. We've also got some new shocks. We've got the new long travel shocks by Power Hobby. So we've got some cool stuff to put on in this build. Like I said, we set the bar really high last episode, but we'll see if we can keep eking out some more performance gains. And I think we're also going to make some gains on the appearance and the aesthetics point of view in this round. So why don't we take a closer look at the upgrades that we got for this episode, and we'll dive in and check them out. Here's what we got for Bronco build part 8. Are you ready for this? I don't think you're ready for this. I'm not even ready for this. We got some amazing stuff right here. So I am so pumped to get these Little Guy Racing Parts Super 8 billet axles. Man, these are gorgeous. I've always been a fan of the Super 8 concept and the axles, but I'm not a fan of the raw 3D printed material. I'm just not. The aesthetics just don't appeal to me, you know, and I understand the performance, and I know that the material doesn't impact the performance, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on them until I saw these beautiful billet aluminum units, and this was what I was waiting for. And I am very glad that I waited, because even just in the package, these things look gorgeous. So this is fantastic. So these are extended axles. We got the complete. I had to get them piece by piece because these guys sold out in 2 minutes after launching them on their website. So I'm super stoked to be able to get a set of them, even though I have to build them. So I got the CVD front shafts, and I got the rear shafts, Super 8 rear shafts. I just have to assemble everything. I'll use some of my stock components, which I think you have to do anyway. But that's fine. I'm just pumped to have them. So we've got the Super 8 billet aluminum setup here, which is going to widen our track. It's going to reset our shock positioning. You know, I talked about the scrub radius in one of my other videos about widening your track. That's going to do this here. We've got the billet Super 8 steering linkage. So we've got the complete setup, the billet setup from the Little Guy Racing Parts Super 8 lineup, which I'm pumped about. Also got a set of gripper tires. You know, I love these tires. They work so good on the Power Wagon, the SCX24 Power Wagon. I'm pumped to try these on the Bronco. I think these are going to work fantastic. So we got some new tires, the axle setup, and we got the new 54 millimeter Power Hobby long travel shocks. Now I just dropped a video earlier this week or last week, depending on when you're watching this, on these shocks. So they claim 54 millimeter. That's more like end to end, eye to eye. These are basically a true 48 millimeter shock, but we're still going to gain some significant travel over the 43 millimeters that are on there now. So we got the red anodized long travel shocks, the axles, new tires. So this is going to be awesome. I'm going to get to work installing these things, and then we'll come back to the Bronco when these are all on, and we'll take a closer look at it. So I almost forgot to mention too that I'm doing the flubber stuffers slime balls in these new gripper tires for this phase of the build too. As much as I like the gripper tire foam that comes in them, I think it works really well. It's probably the best out of the box foam that comes with tires. I just am really interested in exploring more of the capabilities with the slime balls. So I'm anxious to put these in here. I've been having really good luck in the Endura competition pins on the deadbolt. So I'm excited to try these in a different type of tire, a little bit of a smaller tire, to see how these do. These are dual stage like the ones that we run in the competition pins. Not nearly as tall though, but they still feel just as squishy. These are going to be interesting. So I'm excited to try this out. I think this insert and tire package is going to be great, because even with the medium compound foams that I was running in the scramblers, it was so soft and squishy. The Bronco is just really heavy, so I'm thinking it can benefit a lot from the sidewall strength that the slime balls will provide, and still get that nice squish and conformity on the top that these things provide. So this is going to be our tire and insert setup. So I'm excited to try it. All right, let's do some before runs with the mighty Bronco here, just to get a baseline. If you remember, after the Bronco build episode 7, this thing just shredded the course. So good. This thing's a monster. Escalator. Oh, easy, man. It's gotta be hard to improve on that. Oh boy, here it is. Here's the Bronco Phase 8 here. Look at this thing. What a monster. Look at the stance. This thing looks so aggressive. These Super 8 axles are a thing of beauty. Talk about mechanical art. And look at the fit and finish on these things. The billet steering linkage, these axles, the brass covers on the inside. The rear looks especially stunning, I gotta say. Boy, what a great setup this thing is right now. These parts just look fantastic. The Power Hobby red and black shocks. These things just work so well. And the gripper tires look fantastic on here. Very pleased with the setup. So let's talk a little bit about the parts that are on here, the install, and what I hope to achieve out of this thing with these mods. So before we get going, let me show you a quick score that I got at my local hobby store. So I was able to find this aluminum bumper mount from Hot Racing. I scored it for like 12 or 13 bucks. But what this does is I was able to flip it, raise that bumper up so that it's totally snug with the body now. You remember I had a big gap in here before. So just from a fit and finish standpoint, this looks really nice. And it's solid too. Like that thing isn't going anywhere. So that was a good find there. With the tires and the slime balls. So I loved the scramblers on this thing. They looked fantastic. They gripped amazing. They were so soft though. I almost think too soft. Even with the medium compound foams that are pretty stiff in other rigs, I find. Not pretty stiff, but stiffer than I usually run. It was just so squishy and kind of warbly on the side hilling and in some other situations. So hoping that the flubber stuffers, the slime balls, will give me that lateral stability with the strong sidewalls, but then give me plenty of squish from a vertical standpoint for conforming with obstacles, and letting these ultra sticky, soft gripper tires do their thing. Now I've got these on the SCX24 Power Wagon right now, and I love these tires. They're just fantastic. So I've got high hopes for these on the Bronco. I think they'll work really well. And as you can see, just kind of sitting here under its own weight, it's squishing out the tires. You can definitely tell the thing's ready for action, I feel. The axles, man, these things are gorgeous. So they're wider than I anticipated, and that's a good thing. It really added some significant width here. This is about the same width as the Deadbolt and the JLU, which have the axle extensions and the flipped stamped steelies for the wheels. So we've got the same amount of width with the hex extensions and the Super 8 axles with a conventional offset wheel. So pretty cool, great looking package, I think, here. I was initially skeptical about how wide it is. If you remember from one of the earlier build episodes, I had the stamped steel wheels on here and just felt like the wide stance just looked goofy. But this seems to work pretty well, and I think maybe it's because it doesn't have the deep dish. It seems to pull it off a little bit better. I don't know, but in any case, I think it looks great. It's got a very mean, aggressive, almost like, I don't know, Baja truck stance to it. It's just a really mean, aggressive look, and I like it. It's cool. A couple of things I had to do. So in the back, I had to do flex extensions. So I put the Grizzly Works flex extensions on the back just to get it to sit back to where I want. If you saw my review on these Power Hobby shocks, you might have heard me say that they compress. Their compressed length is longer than the 43 millimeter double barrels, and even the Hot Racing telescopic shocks, that's longer. So I was prepared that they were going to lift up the chassis putting these on here. So I put the flex extensions on here because that makes the shock sit behind the axle, which drops the body down. Thankfully, the front didn't seem to be impacted. It's got a nice level stance to it now. I think it's got a good ride height. I would like the front to sit a little bit lower, but I think it kind of is what it is. It's pretty much resting on the servo at this point. So that's pretty much as low as I'm going to get it. But I think it looks good. I'm happy with it for sure. A couple other tweaks I did. So let me show you what else I did. So I made some adjustments to my hex extensions in my weights here. So I borrowed some success from the deadbolt build, and I took the hex wheel weights out of the rear wheels and substituted them with just these brass hex extensions that I had from Endura. So these are pretty much the same length. It's not noticeable from the naked eye if there's any difference here. So what I did was I left the heavy hex extensions in the front, removed them from the rear to just bias that weight forward to hopefully kind of mitigate front end lift and just help with climbing and overall all-around performance. So that worked really well on old Snaggletooth, the deadbolt, so I'm hoping that it works really well here. Enough talking. I could sit here and just kind of geek out over this thing all night, but why don't we get it on the course to do some post-upgrade runs and see what we've made for gains. All right, Bronco build, part 8. Here we go. Easy breezy on the chute. Hell's Gate. Now, this was pretty impressive last time. Set the bar pretty high. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Now the escalator. Nice. Wow, this build, man, just keeps going and going and going. To be this deep in the build and still get the results and the output from these mods that we're getting right now is just amazing. I'm just so pumped with how this thing is performing. I was a little leery about messing with what I had felt like we achieved near perfection in episode 7. So I was skeptical about digging back into it so soon. But I think we hit another home run with this build. These axles, the tires, the inserts in the tires, the weight distribution, man, I think it's just has reached another level. And it just keeps climbing the performance ladder at a rate that I am just so stunned by. in these videos. It's just crazy the performance we're still able to kind of like wring out of this thing at this point. Love it. Having so much fun with this build right now. It has quickly become absolutely one of my top favorite builds of all the 124s that I've done. This thing is just so much fun to work on because it is just so rewarding at this point. So couldn't be happier with the parts. And I guess I keep saying this, but I've waited so long for these billet Super 8 axles, and I'm so excited to get my hands on them. And they were everything that I hoped they would be. You know, the billet linkage to go with them, the new gripper tires on here. The guys at Little Guy Racing Parts are just crushing it over there right now. And I love having their stuff on this build. I think it's just a perfect match and perfect parts for what I was looking for. So really excited to have those. So let's talk about the runs. So it performed super well, man, and just grip and rip on the obstacles on the indoor course. Going up Hell's Gate, man, it just took off like a rocket and just cruised up over all the sticking points that it had before. Didn't get a lot of front end lift. I was expecting a lot of front end lift issues with these long shocks on here, but didn't happen. And I wonder if that's because of the weight distribution work that we did. And I feel like it's biased enough in the front to really keep that weight, keep the front end planted, keep that lift under control. But it definitely worked. It didn't lift a whole lot and crawled right up there at a pretty blistering pace, I gotta say. The escalator, man, it ripped right up the escalator too. The gripper tires have historically struggled on the surface of my indoor course. They don't seem to like the styrofoam a whole lot, but it ripped it today. You know, they had no problems. I feel like the tires benefited a lot from the slime ball inserts. I think maybe having that extra strength from a lateral standpoint and still have that nice squish from the vertical and kind of the top and the corners of the lugs seemed to really benefit. But it was just able to cruise right up the escalator as well. Some of the drawbacks, man, I'm trying to think of some of the drawbacks. I'm having a really hard time coming up with some critical feedback here. It did understeer a little bit going up the escalator at the very top where it gets kind of narrow and steep. It wanted to kind of understeer off the edge, but I think that's just because it's so wide now that it just has trouble holding the line going up there, because the Gladiator and the Deadbolt and some of my other builds do the same exact thing. It's just difficult to hold that tight line on that off camber at the top with such a wide track. But otherwise, man, it did amazing. Like I said, I was really hesitant to mess with it after the last build because I feel like we'd reached such a great point of performance, like a great balance. But now it just continues to get better. So I'm really happy with the results from this build. Trying to think about what else I can criticize here. And I think I might just try to tune the front end a little bit more. I think I'd really like to find a way to get that front end to sit a little bit lower, squat a little more in the front, control the front end lift a little bit more. But I don't know. I mean, it didn't flip. It didn't have any issues. So I might just leave it as is. We'll see. I think the next step might be a brushless conversion. I think the only thing I'm kind of running into, there's a lot of weight on this thing now for a brushed motor, even the big high torque Pro 50 from Endura. So I don't feel like it needs a brushless motor, but I'm just trying to think about what could possibly make this thing better. And I think the brushless combo might be kind of the capstone of this build, but we'll see. Let me know your thoughts down below. What should we do next? How could we finish this thing off? I'd like to do a 10-part series. So I think we've got 2 more episodes left, and we'll be at 10 episodes of the Bronco build. So I'd like to go out with a bang. So let me know your thoughts down below, what we should do to cap this thing off. We're getting close to the end. I don't know what else we can do to get a whole lot out of this thing. But I said this at the end of the last video too. So there's always more, I guess. We can just keep wringing the towel out and get more performance out of this thing. It seems to have more to give after every episode. As always, I appreciate you all. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.